MER stands for Maximising Economic Recovery, and it's a system of regulating the offshore oil and gas industry that was introduced in 2015. And the context for that is that UK's production of oil and gas actually peaked in the first decade of this century, and it was on the decline. And at that point, the government was very worried at what it was seeing in the industry, and wanted to make sure that, so far as was possible, it maximised the production of what was left in terms of oil and gas reserves for the benefit of the UK. It thought that the existing regulatory regime was a bit light touch and wasn't really sufficiently motivating the oil and gas industry to get about producing those last barrels. We had a situation where there wasn't a lot of exploration going on, where production efficiency had declined. There were very adversarial relationships between the operators in the sector, and there was a concern that if something wasn't done, that a lot of the oil and gas reserves would end up being left in the ground and never produced. And of course, there are those who would say that was a jolly good thing, but that wasn't the government's view at that time. And we'll come on and talk about how the climate, both literal and figurative, has changed since just in the last 8 years.
And I suppose then, taking that background, the government at the time wasn't prepared to let the industry just die quietly, and asked Sir Ian Wood to have a look at the industry and how it should be regulated, with a view to making sure that production did continue. And following his report, they brought in this new regulator, the OGA, and gave it a broad suite of new powers that its predecessor regulators had never had. So it was given very wide powers to gather data, to gather information, to attend many industry meetings, and to then impose requirements on the industry and to impose sanctions if they didn't live up to the standards that they were being asked to live up to. And that really has been the central plank of the MER UK regime that's been brought in. And in some ways it's quite an unusual regime, because the legal basis is a very simple legal principle that they have to maximise economic recovery of petroleum. But the consequences of that and how that works out in practice becomes very complicated in terms of how you then work that through the day-to-day operational aspects of the sort of technically complicated procedures that are being carried out onshore, and the complicated commercial discussions that sit behind those. And so the MER UK regime has been the focus then that the NSTA has sought to really give life to as it's developed its powers over the last 6 or 7 years, to then try and help industry understand what MER UK actually means. And I think we're not there yet.